Welcome to Black Nouveau. This is our edition for November 23rd, 2016. I'm Joanne Williams. This week, Kerry Flowers talks about being racially profiled as a black police officer. We'll hear from the cast of Black Arts MKE's Black Nativity. And we'll remember PBS's outstanding journalist, Gwen Ifill. We begin with the story of a son connecting with his father, a story that spans 2 wars. Liddy Collins reports.
Vietnam-era veteran Marshall Williams travels Milwaukee via bus, but nothing compares to a much larger trip he took to connect to the father he never met.
You made it.
His father was a medic during the war, which was a rarity at that time for African Americans. Williams, an identical twin, was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, January 3, 1945. His father, a World War II Army veteran, was killed February 22, 1945.
It wasn't until my brother and I were almost in our early teens that we learned, that he was killed in the war. And strangely enough, my mother never once spoke about our father because I think it was too painful for her to remember.
Williams has letters his mother and father exchanged that gives proof his dad was not aware his mother may have been carrying twins.
He talks about one and even, suggesting a name for my brother, because I'm twin number 2. Michael is twin number 1. Yes, 8 minutes older.
Wanting to know and have a picture of where his father was buried started this journey. The location, R.A. Chapelle American Cemetery in Belgium. They sent him a picture of his father's gravesite, which he posted on Facebook.
Not long after that, some people in the country of Belgium started, I guess inquiring or I guess offering their services to adopt his grave, which is something that the people over in Europe do, for all the members of the military that died. They honor the military because they liberated their country from Nazi Germany, World War II. So they have the utmost respect for the military, and they take care of the graves and the grounds beautifully.
And then in 2014, a friend from his church passed away.
And she is also a citizen of the United Kingdom, Britain, England. And her wish was to be, laid to rest in her native England.
And the family invited Marshall to come along.
I told one daughter, I said, I can't afford to go over there, and the daughter graciously paid my way to go to England, to help them to lay their mother to rest in her native England. And that's when I thought of, if I'm gonna be over there, why not take a side trip to Belgium and see my father's grave for the first time. Which I did.
What were your thoughts once you were there?
First it was crying, it was tears, just to be there. And to approach the gravesite, for the first time, since he passed away, 70 years. All I could do was get on my knees and put my hand on the marble cross, that marks the grave, say, "Hi, Dad." Actually, I was waiting for a reply. yeah, and I knew that it wouldn't be something that would be audible. You know, I thought, you know, it would be something in here, but it was, you know. I just know he's there, you know. Even when we were growing up, when we were going through stuff, me personally, when I was going through stuff, I just sensed that he was there, you know, guiding us through.
How did the visit to your father's gravesite change you?
I'm a more spiritual person. I'm maybe more of him than I was before. And I think just to go over there just kind of confirmed it or sealed it, you know, the bond, or so to speak, that we have. Because the only way I knew of him was through letters that he wrote to his mother and to my mother. But you know, that and to hear the stories that they told about how he was, you know, what he was doing, and to go over there and to just walk on that ground where all those soldiers are, and to touch that marble cross just made me feel kind of complete, whole.
We continue our interview with Kerry Flowers, who served more than a quarter of a century on the Milwaukee Police Department.
I know so. Yeah.
Have you ever been racially profiled?
Yes, I believe I have.
You believe or you know?
I know I was racially profiled, yes.
What happened?
Well, I was driving through a municipality on the border of Milwaukee. It's been a number of times that I believe that I was racially profiled, where a police person stopped me on my motorcycle and made an allegation that was untrue. And had the officer given me an opportunity to explain, I think that the process would have went better, but communication, I think, broke down, and I asked the officer, what's the real reason why you stopped me? I'm a police officer, or I was a supervisor at that time. I'm a law enforcement person. I know what we do when we do it. So don't try to bull crap me on what you're doing. And it's interesting, when you let another law enforcement officer know that you're a law enforcement officer, the demeanor generally changes. I don't know if it changes because they think that they have some familiarity, or it changes because they think that you're thinking about filing a complaint against their inappropriate behavior. Fortunate and unfortunate for me, initially, when I went to go complain on this officer, they complained on me, not knowing what agency I was from, but they assumed I was from Milwaukee and went to the Milwaukee Police Department. And because they were familiar, I think, with some people in our administration, that they were able to lodge a complaint against me. I just wanted to let the chief of police know about this behavior. But it turned out that our agency took it more seriously than their agency took it. So I've had a number of instances, and it's unfortunate, you know, that we as particularly black men have to go through this process where people judge us and then treat us indifferently because of race.
Right. We often hear that, you know, 99% of the police are good police officers.
Yes.
And I think it's fair to say a majority of them are good police officers.
Yes.
But how do we get rid of the bad ones?
Well, letting people know on the agency about their behavior. Most times, as a supervisor, when I send someone out on the street to patrol, I'm thinking they have the best intentions for the public, unless I find out differently. And a lot of times, it comes in the form of citizens giving us information about their interactions with this or these individuals. Or, and this is where I think law enforcement fails, and it's on the supervision part, getting out there and seeing what your officers are doing. Go to their assignments. Listen to them on the air and how they interact on the air and what they're going to.
You mean as their supervisor?
As their supervisor. Okay. Supervision has to get more involved in the day-to-day activities of their officers. Oh, I used to say you could tell misconduct in an officer by looking at their supervision. If their supervision is distant, the officers pretty much will do whatever they want to do because they're going to feel like there's no, the word I'm looking for, there's no observation over what they're doing. So they pretty much, the cat's away, the mice will play.
So does an officer undergo like yearly or every couple of years they have an evaluation process?
Most law enforcement agencies have a process for employee evaluations that could be biannually, could be quarterly. In some instances, if a supervisor witnesses something that might be inappropriate, that they could take action by the process of a non-judicial reprimand, where they write up a little note saying, on this day and time, I observed you doing this. This is not part policy. Put it in your file. You know, so if that supervisor is not your regular supervisor, and your regular supervisor does your biannual or quarterly review, they can look in your file and say, okay, on this date, you know, this happened. We haven't had any of these instances before. Okay, that was maybe just a one-time thing. So it won't hurt you on your employee eval. But if they look in there and they see multiple, there might be a problem.
So the only way to penetrate the blue wall is to complain? Is that the way to do it?
Well, the public, well, I don't know about complaining. That's one way to bring attention to the officers or employees' misdeeds, but also internally, we can do something about that. When we see this culture start to rear its head that is damaging to the reputation of the agency, supervision has to take a role in that to stamp that out.
How often is an officer fired, though?
Not very often. I know with the Chris Manny situation, if I can mention his name, outside of him being fired for utilizing his weapon on the department like that, I don't know if that's ever happened. And if it did, it probably happened maybe in the 60s.
Wow.
So I'm not certain. We've had officers fired, though. We've had many officers fired, but for misconduct issues not related to law enforcement or during your performance of your job. Excuse me for stuttering. During the performance of one would relatively believe your job or acting under the color of law. So yeah, we have had officers fired. Yes.
Now we talk about improving relationships between police officers and the community. What can police do and what can a community do to better work together to form a good relationship?
I think, well, I don't think I know. Communication is the key. Police, law enforcement has to be willing to interact with the public in a non-confrontational environment. I think the burden is on the police to go out into the community to find out what the public is thinking and feeling about how they're being policed. It's not enough to have public meetings, scheduled public meetings. Sometimes you have to, during your patrol, just stop and talk to people on the street. because the people in all communities want to have a good relationship with their law enforcers, because even though we're all responsible for policing our communities, citizens and law enforcers, the public looks as the law enforcers as the paid policers, because the public can only do so much. The public can't go out and arrest.
Right.
You know, they can't go to drug dealers' homes and investigate, you know, drug dealings or homicide, stuff like that. So you need the assistance of the law enforcers to help build the culture that you want in your neighborhoods.
Will more black officers help?
I think smarter police officers would help, and yes, I think a diverse agency is a healthy agency.
This has been fantastic. Thanks for sharing your knowledge with everyone, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Mary, Mary, what's the matter?
Oh, Jerusalem in the morning.
Mary, Mary, what's the matter?
Oh, Jerusalem in the morning.
Oh, poor Joseph, what's the matter?
Oh, Jerusalem in the morning.
Oh, poor Joseph, what's the matter?
Oh, Jerusalem in the morning.
What's the matter?
Oh, Jerusalem in the morning.
Yeah.
We're joined now by the director of Black Nativity, Malkia Stampley. Welcome.
Thank you.
Beautiful music, great singers.
Oh, I am so fortunate to have a great cast and a great creative team.
Speaking of which, who did we hear sing? Who was here?
We had Braylon Stevens, Sid Robinson, Antoine Reynolds, who's also our music director, Tasha McCoy, Tasha Freeman, and Michaela Usher.
Now, I saw the movie of Black Nativity. Is this the same rendering, or is this different?
Totally, totally different. They referenced Black Nativity, which is the nativity story in the movie, but Langston Hughes wrote Black Nativity focusing on the birth of Jesus and that story, and the second act being a tribute to the Black church.
You're put it in a different setting too, right?
Yes, we have a modern spin this year. It takes place in a city like Milwaukee, and in an area similar to Sherman Park and other areas in our city that needs a lot of hope and has a lot of community members who are determined to make it a better place.
How long have you been rehearsing this? It seems like it's going to take a lot of work to put this on.
It is. It's definitely been a labor of love. We've been meeting for months now with the designers, but we started rehearsal October 26th.
Is this going to be all costume or modern clothes or what?
Yeah, a little bit of both. We're using West African style infused with modern day, so a little bit of Afro-punk and just modern wear. So I think the audience will be pleased with the costumes.
Why did you decide to do this version of it?
I was really touched by what happened in Sherman Park this summer, and thinking about everything that's been happening in our country with young African Americans. I wanted to let them know that there's greatness inside of them, and what better way to show that through Black Nativity.
Are there any kids in the cast?
There are. We have 8 young performers, and actually our Mary and Joseph are high school students at Rufus King.
So it's going to be a different kind of Black Nativity, but It'll be familiar.
Oh, definitely familiar. You'll hear those traditional gospel sounds that you heard last year, just with some modern twists to it. So you may hear a little bit more R&B or spoken word or some beats here and there, but definitely the same glorious traditional Christmas songs.
So tell me where we can come and see Black Nativity.
At the Marcus Center, the Wilson Theater at Vogel Hall.
So that's a different name for Vogel Hall.
It is. It was recently renovated, and so we're so grateful for the Wilson family for helping with that renovation. So come out and check out the new theater.
Well, when can I come?
We open December 1st, and we run through December 11th.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for coming and talking with us about the 2016 version of Black Nativity, which is going to be at the Marcus Center.
Yes.
Hope it's a big hit.
Thank you.
Sweet little Jesus boy, born in a manger. Sweet little holy child, we didn't know it was you.
We didn't know you came to save us, to take our sins away. Our eyes were blind and could not see. We didn't know who you were.
You have shown us how, even when we were dying. You have told us how, even when you were dying. Just seems like we can't do right. Look how we treated you, but please forgive us, Lord. We didn't know it was you.
PBS journalist, host, and moderator Gwen Ifill lost her battle with cancer last week. Our Everett Marshburn, a friend of the award-winning journalist, remembers some of Gwen's trips to Milwaukee.
We are here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin with 500 of my closest friends to talk about the issues, the politics that are driving this incredible election 2016.
This was one of Gwen Ifill's last visits to Milwaukee. The award-winning journalist, the host of Washington Week with Gwen Ifill, and co-anchor of the PBS NewsHour, brought the Democratic presidential debate to our city. A few years earlier, she was here as the guest speaker for Marquette University's Neiman Lecture. We spoke with her then.
I've had a fascinating time, partly because people don't talk about race much. It's our great national tripwire. We don't feel comfortable. We'd rather talk about post-racialism. I just got invited to be on a panel at Georgetown University to talk about post-racialism, and I wrote them back and said, what does that mean? We want to get past talking about race without going through it. So my audiences, when I've been traveling the country, have been so interesting. I always insist on Q&A at the end of my lectures because I want to hear what they're thinking. And 1/3 of my audience is roughly PBS viewers, who are by definition older, more well-heeled, more comfortable, and self-regarding progressives, many of them. Then there is a group of older African Americans who are so happy to have someone writing nonfiction for them that doesn't tell them what they ought to be doing now, not shaking their finger. And then there's a third group who I would normally never reach, who are younger, who think I'm Queen Latifah because they saw the Saturday Night Live debate parody, or they saw me on Jon Stewart, or they know me as a debate moderator and don't even watch PBS. But what happens when you get those three groups of people in a room is that you get different kinds of questions. And it's almost more interesting watching how they react to one another's questions than how I do. I've had people say to me, an older white man said to me once, you speak so well, and so does the president. Couldn't we just, if all of your people spoke like that, wouldn't we be better? So the room, this audience, roughly in thirds, kind of went, but a lot of them leaned forward like, good point, what is she gonna say? And my answer was, well, do all of your people speak that well? And he had never thought of it that way. I mean, he really had never flipping the script is often all it takes for people to have a more mature conversation about race. The reason I'm in journalism, the reason I'm in public journalism, the reason why I like what I do is because I really fundamentally believe that government matters and that it can affect our lives and that politics affects everything we do. I don't like politics just because of the horse race. I like it because it has an impact.
And that's our program for this week. For Black Nouveau, I'm Joanne Williams. And from all of us to you, happy Thanksgiving.